The Torah. Anyone Jewish in here? I'm sure there are. So anyway, the point is that they use silver as money in the Torah. It's not gold. It's silver. It's only in North America, where we have about 6% of the world's population that are brainwashed into thinking that only gold is money. The rest of the world doesn't agree with you, so I'm on the other side. Price and price expectations. This is always important. Everyone wants to know how high the price is going to go. But before we actually visit that, I'd like to try and get everyone to do a paradigm shift in their thinking. And the reason being is that everyone focuses, in my view, on the wrong thing. And the reason that we all do that, and I'll include myself in that, is because we're taught to estimate or determine our financial worth in terms of dollars. And a dollar is a floating, vague concept because they change. I mean, if you have an ounce of silver, does it ever change? The mass of a silver coin or a gold coin is always and everywhere the same throughout the universe. It never changes. And really, people seek consistency. They seek something tangible and something constant in their lives. The only thing that we can be guaranteed in life is change. Things change, and they're changing more rapidly than ever. But a coin, the coin standard is stability. So really, when I say the price and price expectations, what I want you to focus on is what an ounce of gold or what an ounce of silver buys, not how many paper dollars it's worth. Everyone in this room, unless you're brand new, knows that the historic, worn-out mantra about gold is an ounce of gold will buy a men's suit, a fine men's suit, and it's always been that way. Well, it hasn't always been that way. The price of gold, some points in history, buys a lot more than it buys a lot less than it normally does. That's the norm. So if you have an ounce of gold and it buys 100 men's suits, do you think it's overvalued or undervalued? Well, everyone in this room knows the answer. It's overvalued. So consider that when you're trying to find a point for you personally that makes sense to exit the market, but not necessarily in the terms of dollars. So having said that, I'm going to go ahead and give you a price in dollars just to, not to contradict myself, but just to give you an idea. So the idea here is this chart, which is in constant 1998 dollars. This was produced by Forbes magazine. I don't expect anyone to be able to read any of that stuff in the back of the room, but I can explain it because it's a pretty simple chart. Remember, these are constant dollars, so we've taken the inflation lie out of this chart. So what I'm showing you here is that the all-time high price through about the 13th century was $1,477 an ounce for silver. Now, that's a fact. That can't be changed. That's history. It's past tense. It's done. So when I suggest that silver will get to at least $100 an ounce U.S., put it into the perspective of all-time recorded monetary history that I'm saying it's going to get to about 1/15 of the all-time high. So within that context, I think I'm being fairly conservative. If you drop down into this level here, that's about $200 an ounce for hundreds upon hundreds upon hundreds of years, dropped down around 70 an ounce. And it wasn't until silver was really demonetized that you got these big blips. And Buffett bought right there. And what type of an investor is Warren Buffett? A value investor. He bought it under the cost of production. You could not dig silver out of the ground, mint it, put it into bar form for $4.20 an ounce. Cannot be done. But you could buy it for that, and he did. He bought 129.7 million ounces of fine silver right at the bottom. Price expectations. This is a chart of palladium. I use it as a proxy for what I expect in the silver market, and I think it does a pretty good job for us. What you find in palladium is that you had years and years and years of just basically trending sideways. Yes, it went up and down and went up and it went down, but basically the wear you out or scare you out or who cares mode. Silver was basically in that mode for 20 years. And then finally, it breaks free, gets above that high, and it makes a rally. And everyone gets excited. And you get a lot of buying at the top because humans say they buy low and sell high, but they don't. They buy high and want it to go higher. So there's people that got in here and bought, and it fell back here. And it took a good year and a half before it got back here. So if I'm going to equate that chart to silver, it went from 555 on the breakout to 840 at the top. And then it took some time. It touched back down, and it took some time before it got above that price and went higher. So as markets work, there's somebody that bought it at 840, and they got over leveraged and they lost their position, or it came back down and their wife said sell it, and they sold it, and it took a year and a half. So in this whole time frame, they're looking pretty smart. Maybe they sold it at 840. And then it gets there and it's got back, and everyone's out there that's in the charting industry says it's a double top. And it goes from a double top all the way up to here, right? Gets up to 48. A lot of my friends are calling me up and saying, David, do not call a top. You're not bullish enough. You're going to be wrong. You're going to look bad. I'm all ready for this because I know at the top, when it's really the top, I will be getting a lot more of that. I said, well, you're entitled to your opinion. I'm selling my trading position at 48, and then it comes back down and goes to 33. And it takes a lot more time, and it finally gets up there. Palladium actually went up slightly higher and came back down. And then you get the blow-off rally. And that's what I expect in silver. I expect it to be in the world history books, actually, for what's going to take place in silver and gold. I think platinum palladium will probably have quite a ride as well. But we are facing uncharted waters in the economic sphere, and I think this is something that you need to study and be familiar with and make your own decisions, because we are facing, I think, the most interesting financial times ever. If you come and buy my newsletter, we have those on the table. You'll get one. I also will pay you to buy my newsletter. I have 20 of these. These are 1/2 ounce minted coins that I told you about earlier that I had minted from a friend of mine here in this room that has the logo for Silver Investor on the back. And it's worth today's price probably $16, no, $17, $18. So I'll give you that if you sign up for the newsletter. But I only have 20 of them, so there's the first 20 people. So I'll give you the 10-year study that I did